Meeples on the Ground, and today I'm going to teach you how to play 7 and 7 by Times Infinity Games. So, in 7 and 7, this is a set collection game where you're trying to get 7 sins or 7 virtues to win the game. And to do that, you must play cards that are on the sin side or on the virtue side. And you can play sins and virtues. So to make sure you keep your opponents on their toes and seeing which side you're going to go for first. Maybe you're going to go for sins. Maybe you're going to go for virtues. Again, let's go ahead and look at some of these cards and see how to play. So this is what you have in the box, or out of the box, out of a game of 7 and 7. You have the cards, and you have 2 play raids. These play raids are double-sided, so a couple players can go ahead and see all the cards' abilities of the sins and the virtues. So the first thing you do, let's get these out of the way, is you go ahead and you draw 5 cards for each player. After everyone gets their 5 cards, they can look, decide which way they're going to go, whether it's sins or virtues, or maybe a longer strategy to make sure you keep your opponent on your toes and make sure you have a more assured chance to win. So there are 2 ways you can play during your turn. You can go ahead and take a card from your hand, play it, and then activate any abilities shown, and then draw a card. Or you decide you don't play any cards, and then you draw 3 cards. But at the end of your turn, whichever action you do, you make sure of how many cards you have. If you ever have more than 7, like for right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I would have to discard 1 card to the discard pile. And that's the 2 ways you can play in your turn. Now, cards, when you play cards, you play them on their gluttony side, or on the sin side, or on the virtue side. And then once you play that card, whichever way you decide, you will go ahead and activate that card's ability. Now, some cards can be played during your turn. Some cards have abilities where they play at the end of your turn, or some actually disrupt your opponent's turn. Some cards will allow you to block. And when blocking happens, you will play that card on your opponent's turn. When they play a card, it will block that card, and then it will allow them to discard that card. Well, they have to discard the card, and then they can actually play another card. So they're not really penalized, and they're not going to lose their entire turn unless they don't have any more cards. So we're going to go ahead and show you one of those cards that has that kind of ability. So this is Chastity. Chastity is you have the ability to play this card only during an opponent's turn, and you can block a card coming into play. So say they're about to win, you can be like, nope, I'm playing Chastity. And that's the only way you can play this card. And it will block and discard that card that they just played. But then they can play another card. This is the rule when someone blocks a card. Another thing I want to talk about is converting. Now, when converting, some cards will say you convert an opponent's virtue or sin, or you can choose a player and you can convert their virtue or sin. Now, when it says choose a player, you can pick yourself or your opponent. When it says opponent, you have to choose your opponent. And that's a way to kind of get more sins or more virtues. And then we have wild cards. Wild cards can act as any sin or any virtue. Let's go ahead and show some of those. In this case, we have 2 wilds, or 2 sides of a wild, that have no abilities. It can be a virtue or a sin. It's a good card, but it doesn't have any abilities. So you're just probably trying to get that last sin or virtue. Other cards, Like the sins will have abilities. And then there are the special sin and the special virtue, which are full cards. So here's the sin, and it has a varying player. This card cannot be converted because it is a full card. It cannot switch to anything else. Likewise with the virtue. The virtue will come into play, you will activate its ability, and then you will keep it in front of you. There's no way to convert this card because you can't. This is the only cards you can convert because they can rotate and become something different, which is a way you can stop your opponent from winning the game. We also have a specific card called a converter card. Now, this is not a sin or a virtue. This will just allow you to play this card and kind of keep it in reserve, where you play it and you can actually play an additional card on your turn. And only at the start of your turn you may discard this to convert any card in your play area. So, and also this doesn't count as a thing you've done in your turn, a card you've played. Now, to go over one last card, this is a promo card. And this card will actually count as a sin and a virtue. And when you play this card in play, it counts as a sin and a virtue, and you may only have one of these cards in the game. So this is the only copy in the entire deck. So pretty powerful card, and for good reason why they limit it to being in there. So again, the way the game ends is somebody has 7 sins, 7 virtues, or the draw pile is totally exhausted, and which at that point, whoever has the most virtues or sins will win. So if I had the most virtues out of other players that had less virtues or less sins than I do, I would be the winner. If at the end of the game we ever tie, like I have the most virtues and someone else has the most virtues, we actually see who has the most sins. And then whoever has the most sins out of the tied players will be the winner. Now, there are a couple different variations for 2 players and team variation, but I'll let you go ahead and figure that on your own if you go ahead and get the copy of 7 and 7 or ever play it. And that's really it. That's all there is to it. 7-7 is a pretty cool game. I love the back and forth that you get from it. And I hope you all have enjoyed this how to play video. And I hope I did it justice. I know Sarah is probably a lot better than me. But hey, you gotta get on it. So again, that's 7 and 7. I hope you enjoyed this video. And until next time, keep playing games and be awesome. Alright, bye!